excited. I am so excited, and I'm so honored that you're making time to come in this live and share with me your journey and the journey that you've been on with your son that's on the spectrum.
Oh,
And
hi, Trey. Then I see my friend Trey then he was the producer on my webcast, Let's Talk Autism with Shannon and Nancy that I did for 14 years. The
wow,
number, the number one international autism webcast in the world.
incredible. I mean, you've been doing this work for how many years?
Oh my gosh. Well, Wyatt's 23, and I got into my healing journey with him when he regressed shortly after. I think I'm not going to get into that discussion on causation, but I think the nail in the coffin, I would say, for him was his MMR vaccine. He had 104 fever that night and febrile seizures. I think there were other things at play. We know that autism is an epigenetic condition, and for those that don't know what that means, if Science Magazine even put it this way, if genetics is the gun, environment is the trigger, and environment meaning toxins. They have proven that pollution, car pollution, and we lived in Hidden Hills very close to the freeway. Wyatt was adopted at birth. His birth parents were not drug users, but his maternal birth parents were both addicts, and that might have created something in that genetic line. But he was above development, and I mean sitting, talking, running at 10 months. And then when he had that MMR and a few other vaccines, that night he had 104 fever and febrile seizures, and he was never the same after that. He lost all language. I remember the first thing he started drooling. Then everything before the age of like a year and a half, there's great eye contact with the camera. Then all these pictures from the time of like 2 on, just this look like this, right? Just
Mm-hmm.
like spaced out. And so I made my home office. I put up a sign, Autism Central and University of Google. And this was at the time when, I mean, the internet was really not what it is today, right? So you had to be really a researcher. And I had spent 30 years in TV as a producer. And so I was kind of a born researcher, and had written 2 nonfiction books on fearless aging. And so I just researched and researched and researched. And, I remember my husband, like at night saying, come on, you got to come eat dinner. I'd be like, wait a minute, I found this one doctor, or I found this one treatment. And that led me on the journey. I say it's a trilogy approach: mind, body, spirit. The mind part, I'm a big believer in applied behavioral analysis, ABA therapy, but that's another subject. Spirit, oh, wow. I could go on and on about that, but we're here really to talk about body.
Yes.
My life changed when Wyatt was 4. He had regressed, and I'm talking going from the most healthy, beautiful baby boy into a screaming banshee who would have, oh gosh, multiple tantrums a day. He put his head through our kitchen window twice, but banging his head. I used to have to cover my arms, the bite marks and the scratches with makeup to go out in public in sleeveless tops. He didn't sleep. He didn't eat. It was horrible. And I knew his brain was on fire. I knew something happened. Okay. This was not just, and they, a lot of experts will say, oh, well, autism is something they regress around 2. I don't buy into that at all. I think I've done a lot of research, and I've had a neuromolecular psychiatrist, an autism expert who I sought out, who's known as Yogi MD, Dr. Andrew Levinson, who
Mm-hmm.
changed our lives. So I went to a conference, and it was called DAN, Defeat Autism Now. And this is the top docs and practitioners and healers from around the world that go to this conference. It's now called MAPS, MAPS. But Dan, I go to the conference and, you know, see if parents like me, everybody, how can I save my kid? And the first speaker is this very charismatic guy with a long black ponytail and ice blue eyes. And he gets up and he says, are you ready to do a marathon? And, you know, we all kind of look at each other and he goes, this is a marathon, not a sprint. And then he puts up a picture of a bullet and he goes, I'm not going to give you any magic bullets. And he goes, this is a process. It's a process of detoxification, nourishing, boosting the body's immune response.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Wyatt at this point is 4. I truly believe if we had started these things as soon as he regressed at 13 months, he would be what we call completely recovered. We
Oh,
don't call it
wow.
cured. I know many recovered kids.
Yeah.
I know many. Um, and it's possible. Recovery is
Mm.
possible. There are other components to it. The mind part, I'm a big believer in ABA, which literally retrains them to think like a typical person. And there's a lot of people who feel that ABA teaches them to be robots. Well, do you want your kid to function in a typical world, or do you want them to be twirling in circles, babbling nonstop? You know, they have to function in a typical world. But back to the body part. So I decided I wanted to work with him. And then I heard Dr. Doreen Graham-Pichet, who runs CARD, Center for Autism and Related Disorders. She handled the mind part. And I heard parents talk about the gluten-free, dairy-free diet, a
Mm-hmm.
mom who wrote one of the first books on it. I immediately put Wyatt on that. And he was nonverbal at this point and came home, put him on that. And this was back in the day when they made cheese that a self-respecting mouse wouldn't eat. I mean, it
Wow.
was
Yeah.
like bleak. You know, I always went to Whole Foods. I got the gluten-free pasta because here's another thing that parents need to understand. Your child is going to crave what is not good for them because they have leaky gut. And leaky gut, what goes into the gut feeds the brain. And there's something called opioids. Well, the
Mm-hmm.
word opium comes from opioids. Opioids are fed by dairy, gluten, sugar, food coloring. When your child gets these things, they want more of them. So I often hear autistic parents say, well, I can't have my kid cut out dairy and wheat and all that. That's all they eat. Well, that's all they eat because it makes them feel spacey. So
And
they
it makes
crave it.
them extremely nutrient deficient as well, right?
Yes. There's a very groundbreaking early book by Dr. Jacqueline McCandless called Children with Starving Brains. I read that book. So anyway, started him on the gluten-free, dairy-free diet, and literally within weeks, he was talking again, maybe 1, 2 words at a time. Then I had gone up to Dr. Levinson and said, I want you to treat my son, but you're in Miami. He goes, I treat people from all over the world at his Vitality Health and Wellness. So we're on a plane to Miami in a week. And some of the things we did are controversial. I will tell you what worked for us may not work for you.
Mm-hmm.
We did chelation. Chelation is ridding the body of heavy metals. And, you know, it was not easy. Why my baby was a human pincushion at the age of 5, you know, nurses coming to the house, putting IVs in his arm, following him around with a pack, administering glutathione, vitamin B, a chelating agent. Then you had to have them pee in something. You had to send it off to Great Plains Laboratory. Oh my God, the lab tests and it showed that Wyatt had a lot of heavy metals.
Mm.
And no surprise, because you know what was in that MMR vaccine? No longer in it. It was the year before they took out the marisol. The marisol was a preservative. And guess what the main ingredient in thimerosal is? Mercury.
Oh, wow. I was going to say aluminum or mercury, one of the two.
Aluminum too. Well, all the vaccines have aluminum in it. I hate to tell you. They all have fetal cells. They all have that. I'm not going to get into vax versus no vax because we're here
Yeah.
to talk about healing. So, but I never vaccinated my son again. I can tell you that right now. Um, so, um, so we do the chelation, we do infusions of glutathione, which boosts the body's immune response. We massive vitamin therapy, which is I'm going to transition to Purium in a minute because at one point I was taking 30 vitamins a day.
Wow.
Okay. And I didn't think he would take pills. And thank goodness for ABA and CARD, Center for Autism and Related Disorders. I was uh, grinding his pills up and putting it in like a chocolate non-dairy shake, with cacao and stuff like that. And uh, I remember there was a doctor at CARD, Dr. Art, who specialized in helping, and one of his things was helping children swallow pills. So I take Wyatt in, and he puts his tiny, I said, oh God, he'll never take pills. He puts his tiny pill on the table, Wyatt goes, up. He puts the next size, up. He puts a horse pill, Wyatt goes, up. All those years I've been grinding everything up. So don't assume, right?
Yeah.
They always say assume makes an ass out of you and me.
Yep.
So I knew he'd take pills, but something about it, just all those, I just felt like, okay, before, I don't think he is absorbing the nutrients because even though we did food therapy, we had a food therapist come to the house, and that was an ABA principle too, which is extinguishing negative behavior. Um, and when you want a child to do something, high fives, yay,
Hmm.
so we would put down maybe a little piece of dairy-free cheese, and then we'd say, if you eat this piece of chicken, you get that little piece of cheese. So he would eat the chicken, and if you eat this green bean, it was literally that painstaking. The kid
Wow.
ate no protein, no vegetable, and I
Wow.
mean, he could go. I remember these things called Bomba snacks. They're made in Israel. They're gluten-free, dairy-free, but still full of trash. And he would go the whole weekend on one thing of Bomba snacks. Okay. So we taught him how to start eating, and that was very slow. Now I cannot stop the kid from eating huge salads, salmon. His favorite vegetable is eggplant. I mean, his favorite treat is sun-dried tomatoes.
Oh,
Um,
yummy.
and his favorite, every afternoon he comes out, Mom, can I have my shake? He loves the horchata. He loves the chai protein. But in the morning, and I'm drinking my second one of the day, our whole house has this. And he's so used to it now. When he first had it, he was like, I don't know. And he would guzzle it. Um, but back to where nutrition is so important. But what do you do when you have a picky eater? What do you do when you have a kid that's not going to eat right? Well, you do have to work on it, and never, never, never give up. This is a game of determination and perseverance. And that's where the marathon comes in. Now, some
Mhm.
things are going to work, some aren't. I bought a hyperbaric oxygen tank from Dr. Levinson. He was selling one of his tanks from his wellness center in Miami. I had taken part in a study at CARD on these tanks. Wyatt and I, they call them dives. We would do 5 dives a week, and it was hot in there, man. We had it out in our garage, and I would bring in coloring stuff. And God, that was back in the day of baby Einstein. And if you got a kid with autism, they watch things relentlessly because repetitive behaviors. Autism shows up in 3 categories: lack of language, lack of social communication, and repetitive behaviors. So
Oh, wow.
he had a ton of those. So we would do these dives into the HBOT. And then Dr. Grampiche did a study that showed the soft core is virtually worthless. And so here, this was back in the day when I had some money. Um, which is growing again thanks to Purium. But spent 19,000 on a hyperbaric. So we sold that. They're good for some people, and but the hard chamber is really good. But those are in hospitals, and so that was something that didn't work. Right? We did something called IVIG, intravenous gamma globulin infusions, that keeps. We did tons of testing. We found out that he had hyperactive immune disorder. So basically, that vaccine, his body and brain saw that as an invader, and it probably shut down the speech and communication pathways. So I believe, and I think a lot of scientists believe this, that with regressive autism, it's a toxic overload, okay? And it's not the classic autism you saw, back in 1970, it was 1 in 3,000. We're talking now, it's 1 in 14 boys. I
Wow.
think higher, okay?
Yeah.
So, and a neurodevelopmental disorder, 1 in 6 kids. ADHD, ADD, and it's because we're poisoning our planet. I mean, that's just the bottom line.
Yeah.
Um, so the IVIG, we did that for a year, and then insurance wouldn't pay for it, and it's 3,000 a shot. And while all this is going on, we're doing other things, educational things. I mean, it was a marathon, and there were times I hit a wall. And here's the other thing: I didn't take care of myself. I
Mm.
was fueling my days on caffeine, very little sleep, and then I started running an autism nonprofit, national nonprofit that gave grants and care to needy families, Autism Care Today, Act Today. And I was working 60 hours a week. I was completely depleted, as I think most autism moms are.
Mhm.
Um, but Wyatt's healing journey had begun. And then when he was 14, his father died after a very long, brutal battle with cancer.
Mm.
And because of a variety of reasons, including the uh, big medicine cartel, as I call them, psychiatrist prescribed. When I went into rehab, I was on 5 psych meds, including Xanax, which I had become addicted to.
Wow.
And so I had to go to detox and rehab for 2 months. And that was very tough on Wyatt, and losing his father was very tough. But I was still determined that even though maybe I couldn't, sorry for Dakota there, maybe if I couldn't recover him completely, I would get him to where he needed to be. So that repetitive behavior worked in our favor. Wyatt loved to splash water. And one day I discovered he loved to paint, finger paint, from the time he was like 6 months old, year old. And I put a paintbrush in his hand, and he would splash in the water and then do the canvas. Splash in the water. It was repetitive, soothing.
Oh, I see. That's how he learned to paint.
It was a stem.
Mm.
And I'll tell you, I have a couple that I'm friends with, and this will blow your mind. Logan, you see maybe a lot of kids with autism hand flapping. Well, his
Mhm.
dad was a rock and roller, and Peter put drumsticks in his hand.
Oh.
That kid played on stage at the Light Up the Blues concert with Ringo Starr, Toto, and he's a drummer for major rock bands in his late
Wow.
20s. He's completely recovered. They started very early. Um, so Wyatt is a brilliant artist now. So here's where Wyatt is. He's still firmly on the spectrum. Um, he's about to get his black belt. He got a job at an international furniture company on Mondays. He loves it. He puts bubble wrap around the furniture legs. He takes out the boxes. He he's last year he made 7 grand off his paintings because he started specializing in pet portraits, and the dog portraits go over really big. And on Facebook and Instagram, people started commissioning them. And so he's a very in-demand artist. And with what I'm hoping to create with Purium is building a micro enterprise with his art business. I'm hoping to share a big studio space because he's taken over my kitchen. I can't deal anymore. It's like, um, so we're going to get a studio space that he'll share with his art teacher, Paola Luther, who's an internationally renowned artist. And she said, "Oh, I would love to share a space with Wyatt." So that's one of my goals with the benefits of this program. Um, and I still do consulting. I do it on a pro bono basis. I don't charge, um, but I do uh, recommend a very simple way to deal with these nutritional deficiencies and to boost your nourish, detoxify, and boost, and that is Purium. And if they can do the green shake, the aminos, and the biomedic, great. If they take pills, or if you could put it, blend it. A lot of the kids love the green shake, and you could also put a banana in. It can make a great breakfast. Almond milk is what we use for Wyatt. Wyatt likes coconut milk. Um, and he takes his probiotics 3 times a day. He takes his aminos 5 a day. And I have him on the pineal clear because, brain fog is a big problem for kids on the spectrum. I make him a drink with the apothecary. I make him sparkling water with the apothecary and a little stevia before bed. He loves all the shakes. He loves the horchata. Like I said, that's his snack in the afternoon, along with things like olives, raw veggies. And, I was told that he wouldn't make a lot of progress past the age of 18. He's made more progress in the last 2 years that he's made since those really early days. And I
Wow.
believe it's the superfoods, and I believe it's keeping him active. A lot of people are like, God, he's got a schedule as crazy as yours. He does, but he needs it. And the spiritual component, we pray together every day. He is very active in his church. He was the gospel bearer at our church for a while. He loves God, and we love praying together. And before he walks out the door every morning, I say, "What are we?" And he says, "Thankful, grateful, blessed." And we really feel that way. And you know what? He is the purest. It's so funny because when my husband died, I thought Wyatt was in the way. How am I going to do this? How do I do this by myself? And that he was just a burden. And now I know he's the greatest blessing of my life, and he's not in the way, he is the way. And if I can help other parents, I forgot to say that if they won't take the Epigenius family, which is chocolate flavored, has the biomedic in it. And I think all kids on the spectrum will take that. And I also think that the In Focus for the younger kiddos, I have not done the parasite cleanse with Wyatt, but I plan to.
Okay. So did you get him started on Epigenius, and how long was he in Epigenius before he went into the ULT?
No, he went right onto the Power Shake.
Oh, he chose only the Power Shake.
Only the Power Shake. And then in the afternoons, the chai protein, which he just adores, addicted to. It's like, "Can I have my shake?" The minute he walks in the door. And he makes his own shake. He goes over, he gets the little blender, he puts everything in. He loved the horchata, but I think they've discontinued it.
Yeah.
But I explore with him because, once again, don't assume. So I
And
think
does he
sometimes
take?
moms think, well, my kid's not going to do that. And what's the best? Kids want to copy. And when Wyatt sees me doing things, he starts doing them. And they love to be with their moms, that Wyatt. I always call Wyatt. I said if he had a Native American name, it would be child not of my womb, who would be up in my womb. I'm
That's so
telling you, that kid,
beautiful.
he's like Velcro. So if I'm like, hey, let's talk about your day and have a power shake together, he'll be like, I don't want any. And I'm like, well, if you want to sit down and talk with me, you got to drink a little. So that's ABA, like
Mm.
encourage the positive behavior, extinguish the negative.
I love
Um,
that. So, Nancy, let me ask you, let's say that there's a parent that has a child on the spectrum and you have to recommend how to get started, how to move through, because everyone wants clarity of like, what do I get my kid on the spectrum started with? Do I do Power Shake? Do I do aminos? Do I do Biomedic? Do I do Pineal Clear? And could you break it down for us?
yeah.
What would you recommend to somebody that's just getting started, for how long, and then when to introduce the rest of the superfoods?
Okay. I would recommend if you've got a kiddo that is a picky eater and that is young, like let's say toddler up until about maybe 8, 9, 10, I would put them on the Epigenius family. And I would give it to them twice a day.
Okay.
I would give the In Focus, and if they're a little bit older, I would say give the Brain Pack, give the Pineal Clear, and the Revitalize, right?
Revive it all.
Revive It. Yeah, I would give them those two. Um, and if you think they'll take the green shake, just put them on the power shake. I mean, but I know people that mix, I have friends, our friend Kiki, every morning she has the power shake and the Epigenius together.
Yes.
Um, but we're going to start doing that maybe, but as long as he's loving the green shake. But like I said, if your kid doesn't, do the Epigenius family, the chocolate, the In Focus, I think is really good. It's just, I would have to do such a high concentration of that for Wyatt that he could move on to the Pineal Clear. And every morning, first thing he drinks, I put the drops of the Pineal Clear in a juice glass with water. He just drinks that right down, and he takes his Biomedic and he takes his aminos. And if they won't drink the apothecary, you can make that drink that I told you with the sparkling water and maybe a little stevia. I put raspberries in it to make it look pretty. Um, and also I'm blanking here. What is the additional sleep supplement?
The
There's
BioRelax.
BioLax. I would recommend that. So many of our kids have sleep disturbances. And what it is, okay, Dave Sandoval said something at the conference. It's called disease because it is dis-ease. The body is not at ease. Well, I thought it's called a disorder because the brain and the body are not ordered.
Mm.
So there you go. So sleep disturbances, gut disturbances, the body and the brain are not ordered. We have to get the gut is everything. And at all these autism conferences, from the very first stand conference I went to 20 years ago, all about the gut, all about the gut microbiome. And there's a lot of very fancy things you could do. You can do fetal uh, you can do fecal implants into the gut. And people are doing that. They're going to Costa Rica, they're going to Mexico and doing that. You can get very fancy. You could do stem cell, and there are books out there. But so I would recommend Epigenius family or Power Shake, the aminos, and blend them if they won't take it. Definitely the Biomedic. Try to get 3 of them in a day. Um, the Brain Pack or the In Focus, and the BioRelax at night, and the apothecary. And as their guts start to heal, they will start to eat better. I do recommend everybody go gluten-free, dairy-free. And like Wyatt goes to a day program a couple of days a week, and they sent out an email, oh, we're having snow cones. And I'm like, oh, no, he's not. I mean, talk about, yeah, let's just put some of that red dye right into his brain and gut, right? And
Yes.
sugar. If he eats, here's another interesting thing, because he eats so clean now. if you were to give him a milkshake from McDonald's, a hamburger and French fries, in about an hour, you'd see my son acting pretty autistic. I hate to say autistic in a negative way. You'd see him acting more severely autistic. He might have a tantrum.
Mm.
He might not be able to concentrate. And sugar and food coloring really affect Wyatt in a
Wow.
big, big way. Now,
Yeah,
as they
nutrition.
get better and their guts heal, you can, like Wyatt will have goat cheese. Wyatt will have feta cheese. Uh, we really avoid dairy. There's some great things. Miyoko's is a great brand,
Hmm.
vegan brand. I mean, really, this is stuff that even Miyoko's is making, I think, a cheese that they're like master chefs can't tell the difference on pizzas. So you're all, if you're just getting into this game, you're so lucky. There's so many books out there, and I recommend these things when I talk to parents. But get them gluten-free, dairy-free, get them off sugar, get them off food dye, get them on the superfoods, start introducing healthy foods. And it's a trilogy approach, mind, body, spirit. And they'll become more of their authentic self, and their personalities will come out. And don't discount a stim as a negative.
Yeah.
I've heard parents say, and I'm not big on electronics, why it's only on electronics 15 minutes a day at night, because I believe they've got enough noise in their brain.
Yeah. And Nancy, let me ask you, 'cause I have to jump off in a few
Yeah.
minutes. Would you be able to share with us how did the ULT transform you? Because I know that not only your son on the spectrum had incredible results, but you as a mom that it's taking care of a child on the spectrum, I know it could be very draining on your health. How did the ULT program supported your journey?
Carolina, when I heard you at the conference, I thought, oh my gosh, she's like my nutritional doppelganger. And the life you lived as an architect. I mean, I spent 30 years as a television producer,
Wow.
and I don't know how many double lattes I drank a day. And I was a diet dabbler. I mean, I did everything from microbiotics to, I don't know, you name it. Pritikin, I'd go vegan for a while, then I'd go back, then I'd go carnivore. I was a dabbler, and I didn't take care of my health. And then with those psychiatric meds, that stuff has bad stuff in it too, and affects your body and brain. So Dr. Sharon Winters, my dear friend, uh, introduced me to Purium about 2 years ago. And in the beginning, I had some discomfort, GI discomfort, and actually went to a GI doctor at UCLA, and he said, don't take those probiotics anymore. Don't drink that green drink. And thankfully, I talked to Sharon. She said he didn't know what he's talking about, mainstream medicine. And I kept with it. And after keeping with it, I started to see the changes. And I'm 70, and this morning I went out and hiked up a small mountain with my dog, and went to Pilates right after. I don't usually double do it like that because I'm learning to honor my body. I'm learning to relax.
Hmm.
Sometimes I might do yoga nidra yoga in the morning because I don't feel like going up a mountain, or I don't feel like going to Pilates. I do meditation every morning to get me out of my head and got into it.
Hmm.
I am in AA, so I work the 12 steps. I have a meeting every day at noon during the week. Um, and I have things like on my desk right here, reminders.
I
Be
love
still.
that.
Yeah, be still and trust the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths.
I love
So,
that. So beautiful. And I
yeah.
know that you did struggle with IBS. So how did the
Yes.
program help you with IBS?
Well, once again, I could get graphic here on Malibu,
Yeah.
but IBS, thinking you have it even, and it was stress. Come on. Thinking you have it, it's not a pretty thing. You'll be at a restaurant, you'll eat a meal, and you run to the bathroom, right?
Yeah.
Either you can't go or you can't stop. So I can just say, I've never been, this is the way you're supposed to poop.
Yeah.
This is the way you're supposed to. This is the way your stomach's supposed to feel. Um,
And how long
and
after being on the ULT program you started to feel better from your IBS?
about 6 months.
6 months?
Yeah. And now I'm on maintenance. I've been on maintenance, but you know what? After the conference, I said, I'm going to go back on the ULT for a little bit.
Yeah.
I just believe we all need a boost every now and then. I truly do.
Yeah. It's a lifestyle. We should be eating healthy every single day, not just once in a while. And this is what I love about this program, that it's just easy, it's convenient, it's affordable. You can do it. It takes you 4 minutes a day to do the entire program, get your nutrition, your amino acids, your cherry with the antioxidants, the pre-probiotic, cleanse the gut from all the chemicals that, unfortunately they're in the air that we breathe. If we're in the city, we have to be cleansing and regenerating daily. So that's what I love it so much. And I appreciate you so much for spending this time with me, sharing your story to everyone out there that's going to be listening to this. And I promise I will share this video with as many people as possible so we can bring this knowledge to people, because there's so many people out there that are completely lost. They don't know where to start. They don't know whether their kids are on the spectrum. They don't know what to do in regards to their kids being on the spectrum. And they just keep on feeding them dairy and toxins and chemicals and dyes and Cheerios. And they don't see why their kids are not getting better. And it's a no-brainer for us that we've been on this journey for many years. But for a new parent that is just experiencing this from the first time, that are eating the standard American diet, this is brand new information. So I appreciate you so much. And I love to bring you over one more time in the future in my
Yeah.
Instagram so we can
Happy
have
to.
a
You
big reach.
know, I love you in raw,
I
and
love you too.
I cannot wait for baby Teasdale. It'll be
Yay.
the healthiest baby on earth. I know that. Because you're going to do everything right. And gosh, but I just spilled out a lot. Do it on your own pace. This is not a race.
Yeah.
Don't compare. I used to compare, well, that kid's recovered. And you know what? God has a funny way with that. I remember one day I had talked to my friend whose child was recovered, no longer testing on the spectrum when they give the diagnostic testing. And I got in the elevator to go up to my office, which was at Center for Autism and Related Disorders. And in the elevator was a young teenage boy with his arms bandaged because of his self-injurious behavior. They often bite. Wyatt used to do that when he got upset. And nonverbal. And the father was like, I'm looking for Center for Autism. I'm like, I'll take you there. What a lesson. What a lesson. We're all on our own journeys. And your kid may not end up being a Harvard tech bro. My kid is on the spectrum, but he is beautiful just the way he is. And it took a lot of work to get him here, but every step of the way has been worth it.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. That's beautiful. And yeah, comparison is the thief of joy. So let's just stick to our own journey, our own experience, and
And
share this gift.
let food be thy medicine.
Yes, I love that.
Don't
Well,
Dr. God does not know it all.
exactly. Yep.
There's
We
only
as
one
mom
God that
know
knows it.
more.
Yeah, there is no doctor. The doctor is not Dr. God. He's a doctor. So
Yes,
anyway,
exactly. Well, I love you. Mwah.
I
Please
love you.
make sure that you share this live when you end it, so then it shows in your page so I can save that as well. And
Okay.
yeah, I'll see you very soon.
Okay.
Mwah.
Bye,
Love you.
Carolina.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Do I share? Okay.